好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度不够。
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片。朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的设置，主演钱和乐。
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度不够。
Would the WHO consider Taiwan's membership?
I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
大会主席先生，世界杯的。
One and all, welcome. Happy Election Day. Place your bets. Slut or scumbag?
How dare you?
I'm Nick Muniz. This is Nick's Nonfiction. Today on the show, we have got Kiyu Jin's China's Playbook.
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋。
As Donald Trump bravely said, there's no pussy like boy pussy. They're eating the dots, they're eating the cats, and by they, I mean China. China should have a baseball team. They've already taken out the world once with a bat. I tell you, breakups are hard in China. Everywhere you go, you see her face. China's economic realm is colorful and lively, filled with paradoxes and conundrums. Jin believes that by understanding the Chinese model, we can reconcile what appears to be contradictions. The whole place is a goddamn contradiction. If you're only allowed to have one kid, how are there so many of them? China's birth policy, it's like a bad nightclub. No girls allowed. Freaking 4 billion of them over there. The census lost count when they realized they were counting grains of rice. China's economy has been booming for decades, a formidable and emerging power on the world stage. The China that most Americans picture is only a rough sketch of the East's true power. And I'll paint your damn picture for you today.
早上好，中国！现在我有。
Have you heard? China banned Apple Watches. One man said with tears in his eyes, But my daughter made it for me. We'll be right back.
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋。
You are becoming more and more loyal to the CCP. China, good. Communism, good. America, bad. CIA, bad. ASIO, bad.
About the author Kiyu Jin. First and foremost, she's hot. Like, really hot. I already told you, breakups, they could be hard in China. You see her face everywhere. Kiyu Jin is a Chinese economist. She serves as associate professor of the Economic London School and the World Economic Forum. That's right, this is a niche behind enemy lines edition. Your boy reading WEF Young Global Leader books. But yeah, she's super hot, so maybe I'll take it easy on her. Just kidding, all simping aside. None of that on this show. I'm breaking you down, Kiyu Jin. Chop you down like a chopstick. I'll be right back.
等车啊！
你为什么要跟别的女孩子打招呼啊？
这就是一个朋友。
那我不喜欢你看别的女孩子啊。
你也会看别的男孩子啊？
那不可能，你打死我都不可能看别的男孩子嘛。
我的友谊啊！
亲的家人们，让我们一起为奥运健儿加油！中国加油！中国加油！中国加油！中国加油 ！China of the world， 敢拼敢冲敢梦想 ！China， 中国。
Election Day Edition 2024, China's Playbook, Chapter 1, The China Puzzle. Kiyu, she was an exchange student, and that's where our story begins. Having parachuted in from a geographically and ideologically far-flung land. Far-flung? Can Chinese people say that? I get the far-flung poo-poo Prada? Outside of school, anytime I mentioned that I was from mainland China, a blizzard of questions followed. When will China become a democracy? Do you feel oppressed? How many dogs can you eat in one dinner? How do you wake up in the morning knowing that you can't elect your own president? When will the Chinese economy stop growing? I was fortunate enough to live within a hospitable American family who brought me directly to the American political life. Well, how lucky are you? You get taken in by a nice family, and they teach you all about American customs, i.e., politics. But the China they imagined was far from the one that I knew from everyday life. People in China were living more comfortably than they had in many generations. And every summer when I went back to Beijing during my years as an undergrad, and later as a graduate from Harvard, the city's skyline astonished me with its latest transformations. Harvard girl, young World Economic Forum leader. Her point here is that China is the world's second largest economy. Beijing's skyline, it grows every few years. But the farmers out in Sichuan, they're still eating pangolin for dinner. It's the same thing with America. They're the second biggest, we're the biggest. American Billionaire Row, you know, the northmost street in Manhattan by Central Park? Billionaire Row is getting a whole lot bigger. But the hill folk in West Virginia are still eating rats for dinner. The cities are growing big. China has got the same economic model as America. Even when it comes to China's juggernaut economy, the world remains skeptical. China's economic model is running out of steam. The state is suppressing private entrepreneurs and stiffing innovation. Financial implosion looms on the horizon. However, in 2008, it was the U.S. financial system that drove off a cliff, dragging with it a formidable array of European financial institutions and corporate giants. Damn! Kiyu, shots fired! She's going, oh, everybody's been saying China's gonna crumble, China's about to fall. America's been taking hits since 2008. We want to blame the House of Cards on China? But how come America's the one causing a global recession every 8 years? Nah, we'll blame the 2021 on China. But I mean, the whole world stopped. Nobody went to work for weeks. And nothing happened. Guys. Nothing happened. We didn't. We shut down the world economy for weeks, and literally nothing happened. Alright, she's on her WEF shit. New smart city features separate driving lanes for autonomous vehicles. Robots can serve Kentucky Fried Chicken, and those who think that China's all-powerful political parties and numerous state-owned enterprises, SOEs, have dominated the country's economy. Consider these facts. Today, it is the private sector that accounts for more than 60% of national output, 70% of the nation's wealth, and 80% of urban employment. So what we're going to learn here, Chapter 1, China is the model for the 21st century. The corporations are the new government. Like, the government can't tell you directly to inject yourself with something. That would be a totalitarian edict. But if your job tells you to do it, otherwise you're fired and you can't feed yourself, it's fair game. So the power is going to the corporations over the government. I'm just making observations. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'm a crazy person. That's what she's teaching us, Miss WEF. Only by fully grasping the new China model with its intricate and often contradictory dynamics can we truly appreciate how different it is from pure capitalism or socialism. It's so different from socialism that they have SOEs, state-owned enterprises. It's not socialism, it's just that the state owns 60% of all businesses. She uses these terms very loosely. I'm an autistic reader, bro. I like to define my terms. She says it's not socialist, but they do have state-owned enterprises and state-dominated economy sectors. It's not socialist. China might be better at marketing than we are now. Capitalism, socialism, that's all 1900s shit. Corporatism, that's that new. A second feature that makes the system different is that China's political centralization is paired with economic decentralization. The central government sets the strategic direction, but local officials deliver on the ground. the mayors are effective equity stakeholders of their jurisdictions. We're not socialist, it's just that the mayors are equity stakeholders in their jurisdictions. Okay, so it's called the New China Playbook. What she is describing is feudalism. No, not even socialism. She's describing feudalism. The mayors just own the businesses. Excuse me? The mayors are effective equity stakeholders in their jurisdiction. You're just describing an aristocracy with fancy words. Chapter 2. China's Economic Miracle. That title is already pissing me off. An economic miracle. Economics are supposed to be measured by equations. How many times are there miracles in math?
Another one.
2 times 2 carry the y minus the x. A miracle! How many times are there miracles in economics? It's an equation. You're going to get flunked by your math teacher. Show your work. My work was a miracle. China's economic miracle. Hey, I don't know, man. Chinese people, they're so good at math. Maybe they could do magic with the math. This economic miracle. The power of economic growth lies in its ability to change people's lives. In few places this is more evident than China. During the period between 1978 and 2016, life expectancy increased by nearly 10 years and infant mortality dropped by 80%. Over the past 4 decades, more than 800 million people in China have been lifted out of extreme poverty. So what she's calling a market miracle, that's just the Industrial Revolution. China experienced it late. And when actual free markets grow, people get wretched out of poverty. That's the whole Upton Sinclair, the jungle. The Industrial Revolution, it actually expands people's lives. But she's going to take all the credit for it and call it an economic miracle. In the early 1980s, my family and all the families I knew were living on rationed food coupons. Eggs, cooking oil, sugar, meat, clothes, soap, and many other daily necessities were subject to strict monthly rations. Life in a 20-square-meter apartment with shared communal kitchen and lavatory was considered luxurious. We cooked our meals on coal-burning stones. Electric power was so unreliable that blackouts were considered the rule rather than the exception, even in Beijing, the nation's wealthiest city. Is within the last 40 years. Beijing didn't even have lights. By 1985, coupon rationing was effectively a thing of the past, and decades later those coupons would avidly be sought after by collectors. By the time I reached middle school in the early 90s, food was not just available in endless supply, but also in dazzling variety. Imported snacks like Coca-Cola, Korean cream cakes, potato chips became widely popular. When the first McDonald's opened around the corner from Weifeng Street and Chang'an Ave, the queue of eager customers extended for blocks, and as the Golden Arches expanded into other Chinese cities, KFC and BK followed in no time. Let's go! The king has made its way. Chicken fry, Burger King, Burger King! In the 1990s, China bade farewell to food rationing. Its people also cast off the drab gray clothes that for so long have served as the mainstay of Chinese couture. The people also sought to find more colorful jobs. Yeah, right, Ken Juling, in the iPhone factory. You guys think I'm being a little too critical? And we got great jobs and great new clothes, and our jobs definitely aren't in suicide factories. By the time I reached university in 2000, my friends were mesmerized by China and started to learn Mandarin. By the time I graduated 4 years later, some of them have decided to move to China to embark on their careers. In the span of just 15 years, China's image had radically shifted. 我很喜欢冰淇淋。
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是
My roommate in college, he would practice Chinese all night. I think I picked up on a little Mandarin. Kung Pao chicken. China's isolationism makes it miss out on the Industrial Revolution entirely. By the late 19th century, the Qing dynasty found itself at the mercy of the Western powers. That's what I'm saying. For Chapter 2, China hit the Industrial Revolution late. It's not an economic miracle, okay? We call it Wall Street over here. Chapter 3. the mayor economy. It's freaking election day, people. You get to go out, you get to press the big red button. In China, they have one party. One party.
Obama.
Hey, at least you get to choose between two people. You know what I'm saying? Happy election day. Today, hundreds of industrial parks are prepped across the full length and breadth of China's vast landscape. In recent years, more than 158 tech development zones have been built in small and medium-sized cities around the country. They're aimed to create commercial hubs, biomedicine, and clean energy centers. Nearly all of China's 23 provinces and 4 municipalities have expert commercial developmental projects underway. There is one in Guangdong for a maritime Silk Road, one in Fujian for connectivity, one in Taiwan and Shanghai to position the cities as centers for international finance services. 30 years, China went from communist to having 30 million private equity firms. So my question moving forward with the book, you might have been free, but how long until that turns back into communism? This is how it works. You ease up trade laws, you let economic growth occur, and government comes back in and buys up the profitable businesses. That's how prohibition went down, but that's a whole nother episode. The phenomena is known as the mayor economy. In recent decades, pioneering local governments officials rushed at the frenetic pace to expand their local economies, transforming former fishing villages and farmland to technology hubs and industrial centers. Local governments busily commissioned landmark bridges, skyscrapers, opera houses, and gymnasiums with the latest avant-garde architecture. In 2019, more than 3,000 exhibitions around the country showcased the latest environmental things. She's talking about WEF stuff. Yeah, we placed 1 million 5G towers throughout the countryside. And the trade-off, now you have beauty products. China's got some dope mega projects. You see the super bridges they're building? Western countries often complain that there is too much state in China. It is certainly true that the Chinese state can sometimes throw obstacles in ways of businesses for its own reason. Rewind. It's true, China will throw obstacles in the ways of business. We're a free market. It's just that we'll throw an obstacle in your way if we don't like you. It's a free economy. Anybody could be big. You just gotta be shadow banned. I'm just making jokes. Much less known is the fact that it perfectly seeks to offset decentralized authority. She makes it sound good, bro. I'm just saying, how is something a free market if the government could throw a wrench in the system? That's not a level playing field. That's like if the referee in soccer could just trip the team he doesn't like. I'm not cheating for you. I'm just throwing a wrench onto the field. China, you're being communist. They think the state is too big here, but we don't do much. We just throw a wrench in bad business we don't like. The best term for describing China's developmental paradigm is a political economy. In China, the state and the economy are deeply intertwined. Sometimes one moves to take the wheel, and at the other time switch seat. You are describing socialism, my guy. No, we need that American capitalism. You play against your family at a Mr. Beast game and desecrate everything you love for money. One way economists approach the Chinese state is by imagining it as a gargantuan corporation, China Inc., whose goal is to maximize both revenue and sustainability by motivating employees. So you guys think I'm crazy. She actually called it China Inc. Corporations are the government now. It's not even a country now. It's China Inc. Are you happy to be a citizen of America? Don't make me go Max. Technically, you're not a citizen. You're an employee of the state. Throughout history, Chinese rulers have struggled with the dilemma of how to provide incentives without letting the corrosive effect of corruption debilitate the system. In feudal times, the emperor wore a crown that could block out whatever he chose not to see or hear. Literally, the crown included a small curtain of black gauze along 12 tassels. Lowering the tassels or inserting the plugs allowed the emperor to see and only hear what he chose. The Chinese crown is symbolic of the ruling style of Chinese emperors, because paramount importance is placed on keeping the overall situation under control. Primary importance. It's not economic growth. It's not quality of life. It's keeping the situation under control. Said that's their primary goal of paramount importance. It's not quality of life. It's maintaining control. I need a crown with a retractable curtain. Imagine you pull up to the function with a crown with a curtain on it. Someone starts asking you political questions and you just draw the curtain over your face. That quote was fire. China, they don't care about economic growth. It is about control. On taking power in 2013, President Xi lost no time in launching the most sweeping anti-graft campaign in the nation's modern history. Some 2.3 million officials at various levels had been punished for violating party rules and state laws. These officials ran the gamut for elite tigers to comfort household flies. How long did it take you to go communist again? Well, Xi is already acting like Stalin. 2.3 million people went missing. Not exactly missing. He kicked them out of the government. When Zhao Xingyang, the former party secretary of Xi Province, left his post-party provincial secretary for the seat of National People's Congress, a number of his business dealings that led to huge personal gains were made public. The most notorious was a scheme with private developers to build expensive villas on the north slope of Qingling Mountain, part of a protected area of enormous natural beauty. It is known as the Alps of Central China. After repeated warnings from top leaders, Zhao falsely reported that the villas had been demolished and the problem was solved. When Zhao's various dealings finally came to light and a number of accomplices were arrested, Zhao was imprisoned. Zhao, his nickname was Mayor Bulldozer. It's also useful to have social media whistleblowers helping the government monitor the party's address. According to the same Journal of Economic Perspective studies, 11 million of the 13 billion blog posts were government-related, and of that, 11 million were more halfly corrupt cases. Amateur civilian paparazzi of the Chinese variant are interested only in chasing celebrities. They also so they had to take these people's social media away. Minus 5,000 social credit.
It would be so awesome.
Chapter 4, the financial system. China's stock market is no anomaly. It's just one reflection of the country's inefficient topsy-turvy financial system. Another is the housing market, where residents of Beijing, Shanghai scramble to pay for prices like Boston and San Francisco. Shadow banking, unregulated or underregulated banking activity can be a risky affair, as we know from the financial crisis of 2008. The effect of these economic tremors can be surpassed widespread. In 2021, the failure of the large property developer in China Evergrande Group. Remember the Evergrande ship blocked the Suez Canal? I think there's some more fuckery afoot going on. This is a concerning quote. Bank credit is the main source of financing in China. It stood at around 165% of their GDP in 2019. In U.S., by comparison, bank credit accounts for 52% of GDP. What the heck? So China is over 100% bank credit. That's the country that makes everything. The country that has all the factories, China, is still going off of credit. Where's all the gold? It ain't at Fort Knox anymore. Everything's on credit. Heavy reliance on banks is a common feature of financial systems in developing countries. One can readily imagine why it's a sign of primitivism. Bank loans cannot adequately provide smaller risk companies with stable relying finance. They have all of the manufacturing power, and they're still the second world's largest economy. It's because everything's on credit. Maybe it's because the U.S. has the most oil reserves now. But it's because spending is what stimulates an economy. Stockpiling, hiding money in the mattress, they don't like that. You got to put it back in. Historically, the Chinese financial system was an instrument of the state, pure and simple. The financial system was an instrument of the state. Some observers characterize the difference between the US and China equity markets this way. The Chinese market looks to the past where the US counterpart looks to the future. In China, you have to be profitable in order to step into the arena. In America, investors judge by potential. So it's kind of similar, kind of different. One country you got credit scores, one country you got social credit system. For those reasons elaborated, between 2000 and 2018, the number of Chinese companies that close to listed overseas increased fourfold. In the middle of 2021, American stock markets hosted $2.1 trillion worth of Chinese companies. That is half the U.S.'s GDP. And that's why we're number one and number two. We are investing in China. That doesn't mean we're not going to go to war with them. You look at who we were investing in, the Nazis. But again, that's another book for another damn day. A senior official once told me about investing in a company that sold soft-shell turtles. A popular Chinese delicacy it would boost your vigor, give you a big-ass boner. Management had decided to manipulate the stock by conjuring up some bad news for the company, allowing them to buy shares at the price as it went down. As the newspaper broke the story the Yangtze River had flooded, the company's soft-shell turtle farm allowed for huge numbers to escape the farm, and the company's stock price plummeted. When fish escaped to the hatchery, the insider said they swam away and didn't come back. But turtles are different. They have a strong instinct to return to their birthplace, and in this case, they miraculously brought a horde of new turtles with them. So the people who owned the turtle farm were going, no, you know how turtles go out to sea and then return to the shore? All of our turtles are coming back, even though the Yangtze flooded. So buy! Invest! That's the Chinese financial system. They are betting on turtles. Chapter 5. A New Paradigm. The miracle of China over the past 4 decades is not the nation's record-breaking span of dizzy GDP growth, but the unimaginable transformation that has taken place for hundreds of millions of Chinese and their children. I'm saying, bro, we can make fun of how their stock market is literally betting on turtles. Turtles! What? But for real, it helps more people having this system of trade. It's the artificial scarcity. When Deng Xiaoping decides that young people in China should be allowed to pursue their education overseas, he expected that many of them would go overseas and not return. He took the long view that eventually most of them would come back. Young students tell me that in order to make it these days, they have to be in China. So yeah, all the students came back, good turtles. What the future holds for China and its evolving role in the world is a key question for our time. It might not be easy to fathom what it looks like. As we have seen throughout these pages, China is constantly changing. The first and arguably the most significant is a return to the social problem. The sense of urgency to address issues ranging from enlarging middle economies and state provisions becoming increasingly acute. The new playbook is but a process to search for a new equilibrium benefiting our times. The new China playbook. The playbook is to improvise. The plan is to improvise and an economic miracle. That's the plan. This sentence is just nonsensical. This book began with the stated objective of reading China in the original. It ends by examining what it means for the rest of the world if we do and if we don't. Hey, Lau. We're talking about economics here, not your goddamn improv troupe. There are those who are creating a more dangerous world by promulgating a transactional worldview of winners and losers, pitting people and nations against one another. On the brighter side, our fears and our prejudices hide a deeper truth. We are the people who have much more in common than we realize. For once, we all want a brighter future for our children, but to that possible, our nations will have to adapt and harmonize to create new realities together. There you guys have it. China's playbook. Hope you guys got out there and voted today. Exercise your democratic rights. We got to check in on China once in a while. What the hell's going on over there? We hold each other's debt, and we'll hold each other's hands all the way to the wet market. My name is Nick Muniz. We do this every single Tuesday. Check out Harry Shit on Instagram for a meme every night. See you in 7 short days. Peace!